So I want to talk about something different today, something that's related to brand design and brand strategy, specifically about matching your writing to your brand personality. Writing just means the text you use on your websites and on your apps. Now, right off the bat, I'm no expert on brand strategy, but I do have a lot to say when it comes to web design, and brand strategy does fall under web design to some extent, alright? They're two separate things, but part of brand strategy does fall under web design, specifically when it comes to the text and the writing you use on your websites. So this is something that I'm exploring myself as well, and my hope is that by rambling at the camera for a couple minutes about the topics that come to my mind, I myself am also going to get better at it. So with that being said, the topic is match your writing to your brand's personality, and I want to talk about some things related to that which might help you to write better content on your websites. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all, I just want to hone in on this point right here, which is that your writing style needs to match your brand's personality, because your writing style sets your brand's perception and emotion. So let me explain what that means real quick, and then we'll talk more about it. Basically, the kind of words you use, the kind of language you use on your websites shapes what kind of emotions your users are going to feel. It shapes how they're going to perceive your brand. As a quick example, if you go to an online bank's website, right, you can probably imagine what kind of language they're going to use. It's probably going to be very serious, very corporate sounding, very professional, right? Very safe and secure. That's the kind of language an online bank would be using, right? Why? Because they want to use your money, right? They want you to store your money with them, right? You're not gonna trust your hard-earned savings to some website that talks like they're your drinking buddies, right? So writing style is specifically very important for brand perception and emotion, and you need to make sure that the way in which you're writing the content on your website is the way you want your brand to be perceived, and you're triggering the right emotions in your users, right? Now there's different writing styles, of course. There's like luxurious, there's casual, there's also more corporate of a style, there's friendly, formal, informal, and all sorts of other ones, right? Basically, and these are not hard set writing styles. These are just, words I'm using to convey what I'm trying to say. But the main thing is that you need to use the writing style that matches your brand the most. And this is something that's gonna be, different from brand to brand, right? I can't give you specific advice on this. You need to study your own brand, your own company, and figure out what kind of writing style would work best there. It really depends. If you're some startup with a public face, you can probably get away with a more casual, friendly kind of a writing style, especially if you're in the tech space, if you're building some SaaS or something like that. But if you're building a more traditional corporate kind of corporation and stuff, you're probably going to want to be more professional, more corporate in your writing. And yeah, this just depends from brand to brand, right? So you're going to have to study your brand a bit more, and you're going to have to figure out which writing style would suit it best. And once you figure that out, just use that in your writing all across your website, in all the content on your website, right? So here's a quick example. I'm sure you've all used Discord before, right? Discord has a very chill, very casual and friendly kind of a writing style. They don't talk like a big corporation. They talk like, in a very friendly way, right? Like, just read through some of this text, right? You don't really perceive Discord as some really big corporate entity, right? When you read text like this, right? I mean, can you imagine a bank, for instance, using IDK instead of I don't know over here, right? So Discord has a very casual, very friendly kind of a writing style, and that's because that's their target audience, right? Their target audience is gamers and just people who are trying to talk to their friends, which is why Discord itself also talks like their friends, right? It's weird, but it gets the job done, right? That's the kind of target audience that they're trying to attract as a brand. And so that's the writing style they're going to use, right? And here's a completely different example. This is the website of JP Morgan Chase, which is a very large American bank. You can see they talk very, like, in a much more professional way, in a much more corporate kind of way. They use we instead of I, they use our instead of my, and they just talk in a very different way from Discord, right? You can easily tell that this is a much bigger corporate entity, right? And along with that, again, this is the target audience that they're trying to attract, right? So they're going to use their writing to attract that audience, because like you don't want your bank to sound like, let's say, your drinking buddies, right? You don't want your bank to sound like that. You would never trust your money with a bank that sounds like someone you would share a drink with at a bar, right? That's why banks always have this professional, kind of safe and secure kind of language, right? You can see even the fonts that they're using over here in the headlines, they're serif fonts that really just make you feel more like this is a very professional entity, right? So something like Discord uses a very casual, friendly kind of language, whereas something like JP Morgan Chase uses very professional, very corporate, safe and secure kind of language. Imagine JP Morgan using Discord's casual, friendly language on their website. It would not make sense, right? Even though the website looks good, it's designed well, if you just use the wrong writing style over here, it would just not work, right? It would look horrible. No user is going to trust this bank if they sound like some friendly gamer you'd hop on a VC with, right? So that's the really important point over here. You want to make sure that you're matching your writing to your brand's personality over here, right? And there's a two-step process to actually apply this. So let me write that down. First thing is you just need to understand your brand, right? So this mainly just involves studying your target audience plus your brand mission. So, and it's going off the screen. Let me bring that back over here. That's the first thing. You need to study your target audience, the people you're trying to attract, and your brand mission, right? The goal that you're trying to achieve with your brand, right? And this brand mission can be different from just the usual ones of trying to get more customers and more money. As an example, JP Morgan probably wants you to invest your money with them, buy their investment products, and so on and so forth, right? So figure out your target audience, the people you're trying to attract, and what kind of language they would prefer. And also figure out your brand mission, right? The kind of brand, the goals that your brand is trying to achieve, whether that's for itself or its customers, right? And the second thing is to simply adjust your writing style appropriately. So once you've studied your target audience and your brand mission, the next thing to do is to just adjust your writing style. After this step one, you should have a very good idea of what kind of audience you have and what kind of language they would prefer, right? As a very small example, let's talk about age, right? If your target audience is really old people like boomers, right? You would use very different language than if you were trying to attract someone much younger, like Gen Z or something, right? When it comes to Gen Z, you would probably use, memes or weird language words that they use, right? When it comes to attracting Gen Z, you would use a lot different language than if you were trying to attract boomers, right? And that's just age, right? Obviously, your target audience is going to have a lot of different other characteristics as well. Demographics, location, and so on and so forth, right? So study your target audience and your brand mission, and you'll have a very good idea of what kind of language they would prefer, what kind of language they would want you to use, and then just adjust your writing style appropriately. That's how you actually apply this to your website. Now, it is 2025, it's almost 2026 now in just a month, which means we also have AI, right, to help us out with this. And the way AI can help us out with this is mainly just to analyze our text and rewrite it. So when it comes to AI, you can just put your text in ChatGPT, Gemini, or whichever model you prefer. I myself prefer ChatGPT or Gemini, mostly Gemini nowadays, guys, because Gemini 3 is just insanely good. I've been using Gemini a lot, but you can use whatever model you want. The main thing is you would just feed AI your text and you would ask it to analyze it really deeply and rewrite it based on the new writing style that you're trying to use, right? So you can use AI for this whole thing as well, but the main thing is still these two steps. The main thing is to just study your target audience and adjust your writing style accordingly. That's all. That's what I wanted to talk about with you guys today. Hopefully some of this makes sense and you get some sort of ideas on how you can improve your own brand and your own websites. Again, this is something that I'm learning and improving on as we go as well. So if you're new to this, feel free to subscribe to the channel because this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy talking about. And I'm going to keep learning and keep trying to improve on this as well. So if you want to do that as well, Subscribe and stay tuned for future videos, because there's going to be a lot of this in the future. That's all for today, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, put them in the comments below. And if you want to critique this, because look, I'm not an expert on this, I said that in the beginning as well. If you want to put me in my place and teach me a new thing, do that in the comments, because look, I want to learn new things just as much as the next guy. With that being said, I will see you in the next video, and thank you for watching this one. See ya.